All right. We are back for Dolphins Roundtable, episode number 15. I am once again joined by Billie, Melissa, and Buddy. We're going to dive into some Dolphins football, which there's a lot going on with this team, which is great because we can keep talking about them till the cows come home, as they say. Basically, just like everybody else, all the 31 other teams, all of the GMs and all of the head coaches descended upon the annual owners meetings, and they were interviewed and said a whole lot of everything about what's going on. This was actually a really deeper look at Jon-Eric Sullivan, general manager, and head coach Jeff Hafley, which is kind of the reputation that they've been gathering through these weeks and months that they've been hired by the Dolphins organization. Everything sounds good. The way that they talk, the way that they're presenting themselves, the things that they're saying, they are standing pat and on what they want to do for this organization, and that is building through the draft, that is shedding all of those contracts, that is doing everything that they've done. Where the Dolphins are now paying almost 180 million in dead cap, but we brought this up. The reason for that is they're looking to clear skies in 2027, which now the Dolphins are predicted to be number 3 and available cap space at 148 million. So they're number 3 on the list right now. That can fluctuate, but that's huge because the Dolphins have been nowhere near the top in recent years in available cap because they spend all of their money. That being said, Sullivan brought up a whole lot, and so did Jeff Hafley. One of the main things that I thought was interesting that he brought up was he gave a real direct reason why the Dolphins traded Jaylen Waddle. Obviously, we brought this up before, me and you, Billy, and before, Buddy, you joined the podcast, but Jaylen Waddle was initially described as one of those foundational pieces for this rebuild, which they don't want to call it a rebuild, whatever they want to call it, a reset, whatever, I don't, whatever it is, a reboot. Yeah, so a remake, if you will. So he did bring
Dolphins
the
2.0.
yeah.
Sorry, I will let you go on.
No, you're good. You're good. Green Bay South, as Jeff Hafley and Matt LaFleur called it recently. Anyway, so he brought up Waddle, and Mike Florio and Chris Sims asked him what happened. Why did you trade Jaylen Waddle? And he answered a very direct way. He said that because of the way the market is shaking out right now, the fact that Jaylen Waddle was going to command a new contract because he's still been a solid receiver and he's only going to get better, presumably get better. He would have got better with the Dolphins, with the better situation, Malik Willis, all that, yada, yada, yada. He just viewed that as a win-win situation where the Dolphins could get really valuable trade capital right now for Jaylen Waddle at the height of his tradability, if you will, and also give him a better place on a contender and shed that contract. So it was a win-win for all parties concerned. First round pick, third round pick, fourth round pick, really, really good draft capital for the Dolphins. And they shed that contract. He was like, look, he's going to need a new contract sooner rather than later. The way that the wide receiver market is now going up, the fact that JSN just got a ridiculous deal, every single receiver that's good is going to command a deal that's going to get bigger and bigger, and he just saw the writing on the wall. Instead of the Dolphins having to pay him that huge contract in a year or two, that money can be spent elsewhere on younger, presumably better talent.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Like you said, smart financial decision. And we saw the JSN contract and star receivers like Puka Nacua and Zay Flowers are just around the corner for theirs. And they probably just couldn't keep it up. And, we know their financial situation this year wasn't great. It's likely going to be a little bit better for next year. So if you are rebuilding, there's no point of waiting an extra year just to have to solve that piece of the puzzle next year. So you're just pushing off an issue. So if you can just clear it, and it gives Waddle a chance, like you said, to go to a contender and really compete and hopefully see out the end of his career. Because he's not that old, but I guess, aging by NFL standards.
No, he's still young in his career. He's definitely he's an older guy now, but he's not old,
Eddie, you're over 25, you're old, okay?
Yeah, you're ancient in the NFL world.
They're like, well, the average career I think is 7 years, right? So I think once you get to around 28, you're basically
Yeah. And Waddle right now is 27. Obviously, like losing a talent like Waddle is never ideal, right? But just like we talked about on these pods with the Dolphins, it's for the future, right? This is to build in Dolphins 2.0, as Billy mentioned, right? I mean, you could get. I mean, it's never a guarantee, but there's always a receiver out there in the draft that you could stumble upon, whatever the case may be. We'll see what Eric Sullivan has under his sleeve when it comes to the draft. That's going to be a huge tell on where where they want to go, and if they build it right, then they could get there faster than many anticipate them to. Losing Waddle sucked, but this is all part of the plan. This is what Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley have in plan, right? It's gonna suck right now, but the hope is that 2027 and the years beyond that they could build a team that the fans really, or just even like the NFL views, the fans could really hop on, and then where teams in the NFL, especially in their division, view as a threat, and
Mm.
who knows, right? Who knows? So a lot of eyes are going to be on Eric Sullivan in the draft, and it's going to be really fun to see what he kind of comes up with.
Yeah, definitely. But again, like we just talked about, the wide receiver market in this draft is really deep, and the Dolphins are at number 11 overall, and they could very well take Carnell Tate, they could take a Jordan Tyson, they can take a God, what's that third guy that I keep forgetting?
Uh,
Um,
Makai Lemon.
Makai Lemon, thank you. Makai Lemon at number 11 overall, and there you go. You've already found your replacement for Jaylen Waddle right there. But you don't know. I mean, banking on a rookie being great in the NFL, that's not the case. You can't do that. But theoretically, yes. And yeah, he said, we have to get younger and we have to get cheaper. That's exactly what he said. And it's good to hear a GM just talk straight like that and not give some roundabout answer about. He's like, look, it was a better financial decision for us. We did it. We got some great draft capital. We need to get younger and cheaper. We let him go to somewhere where we believe that he would do a really good job. Fantastic. Great. Win-win. Like I said, that's good. Keep it moving. You're paying all that money. You had to cut Tyreek Hill. You had to cut Bradley Chubb. You had to cut Tua Tagovailoa. You had to do all this so that way you can be in the top 5 in cap space for 2027. Like you brought up, Billy. Like they're gonna have a better situation moving forward. Then you see what you can do. Hopefully they still not going to go and take these big free agent swings at whoever just because they got the money to do so. You need to draft and develop, which has not been the Dolphins' strong suit with Chris Greer running the show because he has never been a great talent evaluator. Now, as you said, buddy, the eyes are on Jon-Eric Sullivan in this draft in the front office. You got to hit on these picks. You got to get some good picks in there, and they gotta work out.
Yeah, and it gives them this time to see the holes in the what they've got now. And then they can bring in those veteran presence and, really hyper specific, like this is exactly what we need the push in now. Like this isn't quite cutting it for right now. So I think it's a smart decision and as providing that everyone has patience with them, I think it will pay off in the end.
Yeah, and it's not like the Dolphins are devoid of talent. They still have some really great foundational players, as they brought up, one of which that we brought up before is running back De'Von Achane, who also came up in trade talks as it would, because if the Dolphins are having a fire sale, everyone's going to be calling about him because that dude, 1,500 yards from scrimmage, or 1,800, I think it was, has only gotten better and continues to get better. First Pro Bowl season. The dude's on fire, 5.7 yards per carry, led the league. The dude's he's been a monster, and that's
And
one
he's
of the
only 24 years old.
and he's only 24, so he's not ancient yet. And the shelf life of running backs is even smaller than other positions. That's just what they say. Anyway,
Derrick Henry wants a word.
yeah, really though. I mean, Frank Gore, that dude,
Exactly.
he's playing well into almost being 40. Anyway, the point being, he is one of those foundational players. There was reports that the Dolphins were like, nope, we're not trading him, even though they traded Jaylen Waddle. And Jon-Eric Sullivan definitely shut it down in those owners' meetings. He said they are not trading him. They view him as that player that they want to keep around. And in fact, he also admitted they are working on an extension right now, and they hope to get it done within the next few weeks. That would be great. I will say this. I still don't believe that he's not untradeable. I do not believe that for a second, just because of the way the Dolphins are moving. If somebody offers a high first-round pick and a second-round pick and more, I 100% think the Dolphins would trade De'Von Achane as well.
Well, he said that. He said nobody's untouchable.
Exactly.
But there's no effort from his end to move him away. So I think it is very much like someone's going to have to come banging down the door being like, here's the blockbuster offer.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And again, like I'll bring up Laramie Tunsil. The Texans offered 2 first-round picks for him. Who the hell would not do that trade? Anybody would have done that trade, any team, regardless of how good he was or not. Max Crosby, the Raiders wanted, they got two first round picks. They not anymore, but we know what happened. But the point being, if somebody goes and shows up and tells Jon-Eric Sullivan, we're going to give you a first round pick and we're going to give you our top second round pick, which is like, I don't know, let's say it's in the top 40 selection. That's basically a low first round pick as well. They're going to take that. So I'm not going to sit here and say he's untradeable, but I will say, obviously, if they give him an extension, there you go.
Yeah. And I think that he just spoke very candidly about that. And, he did say it was an important piece of what they're going to do moving forward. So I think the plan right now is completely keep him, put him in the scheme, figure the offense out based on that. But, he could, someone coming along with the right price. But, the draft is very close now. It doesn't seem like anyone's given an attractive enough offer yet. But that does mean that they got to pay him, because that market is going to continue to climb and he's a key player. And, if the Dolphins don't get on top of that immediately, I think, is it next year he becomes a UFA?
I think so.
Yeah. So, now's the time, I think, before someone else resets that market.
Yeah. He clearly fits a timeline-ish, right? And obviously, he's a talent. But also too, when you got to look at the other side of it, he has dealt with injuries at his young age too, right? So like, yes, obviously you would want to. Jon-Eric Sullivan has reiterated that he's a foundational piece, and they want to keep him and whatnot, and the extension works. But like, if there's gonna be a GM out there that's gonna view him highly, right? Who knows, but there possibly could be, right? You take that deal. Right. Yes. It would be really unfortunate to lose a talent like Achane, but at the same time, the injury history is there. Right. They might get some help for him in the draft as well. Who knows? There's just a lot of things that could happen, that will happen. It's just nothing is a guarantee, especially in the NFL. Right. Like we talk about all the time, it's a year-to-year type of league. There's a lot of things that could happen, but right now, Sullivan views him as a key piece. He is a key piece, arguably the best player on offense. But yeah, James, like you said, nobody is untouchable. We've seen it only in the NFL, throughout sports, right? Crazy things have happened. So and Achane is no exception. So
I think Seattle should be on that personally. They just lost their MVP.
They just lost their Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
And there's not many holes to fill there, so
no,
you can afford to.
Yeah, I mean, and the Dolphins have Jalen Wright and Ollie Gordon, both of whom had some really good moments in 2025, and they're only going to get better too. But if you give him an extension, there you go. But I mean, you got to look at what they offer him, because Achane was second in rushing yards, I think, in 2025. So right now, like, Breece Hall is making $14 million, Jonathan Taylor $42 million. I think it's a 3-year deal or 4-year deal, $14 million per season. You got Derrick Henry at 15, 2-year deal. Kenneth Walker, I think, just got paid by the Chiefs, so he's at a 14.35. So it's going to be something around there. The Dolphins are going to have to pay Achane, in my opinion. I think he's going to be a top 5 guy. But you're also getting ahead of, if he balls out again in 2026, that number is going to go up significantly. So I think they're smart in giving him a deal like, hey, we're going to pay you like 15 million per season, 3-year deal, guaranteed money, whatever. But again, that all depends on if somebody doesn't come up and just offer a ridiculous amount of draft capital, which you can't say no to, because you're in a rebuild anyway. And like I said, it's not like you have a running back room that's destitute. Like, both of those guys, Ollie Gordon, Jalen Wright, could emerge as some pretty strong talent as well. But
yeah, if they don't sign him now, they're leaving the door open for next year. And if he really does do as well as he did this year, it's just not a problem that you want to have next year. So I think it's better to make the decision now, as opposed to being like, nah, maybe next year we could sell him off. Just be decisive about it and bring him back.
Yeah, and I mean, offensively, I think the major reason they want to keep him too is because pairing him with Malik Willis, who can also use his legs as a quarterback, I think is going to be really, really good, especially like you look at what Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson do together. You give De'Von Achane a actual really good mobile quarterback, because Tua Tagovailoa was not that, and you give that ability to open up that playbook even more. Like, look out, because both of those guys can run, Malik Willis and De'Von Achane. So I mean, This is assuming that that Malik Willis wins the starting job, which we can just jump into right now. So again, as I brought up at the top of the podcast,
I hate this.
I know, but look,
so much.
I brought this at the top of the podcast, and I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it that they are sticking to their guns and talking about what they want to do for this team. The entire time that they took over, both Jeff Hafley and Jon-Eric Sullivan said, no matter what, you are going to compete for your job. We don't care who you are. We don't care what your number on your contract says, yada, 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 right? This is a huge culture change that the Dolphins have needed. I'm not saying that no player on the team has bought into that or believes in this or whatever the case may be, but they are sticking to what they said, doing so. And Jon-Eric Sullivan, again, being very direct with what he's saying, spoke about Malik Willis and said he's going to compete for the starting job no matter what. Now, he did say someone's going to run out there with the ones, and we expect that to be Malik Willis, which is obviously he's co-signing on the fact that Willis will be the starting quarterback. But he did also say you're not going to just have that job, which again, this is dangerous, but it's also good to hear because it's like, great, like you're going to tell everybody you have to play better or you will lose your starting job. And I agree with that for everybody else with the quarterback right now. I do not agree that Malik Willis should not be the starter, but this just leads into the fact that like they're going to bring more people in. They still have Quinn Ewers. They're probably going to draft a quarterback because they just have to. They're going to do it no matter what. Jon-Eric Sullivan said they're going to draft the quarterback every year until they get it right, which I also don't agree with, but I understand why he said it, because the Dolphins have been in quarterback hell since Dan Marino retired. No offense to Tua Tagovailoa. I am a fan. I like what he did with the Dolphins when he was doing great, but he had his limitations, as we all know. That being said, they need to find that guy. The presumption is it can be Malik Willis. You have a 2-year audition, but he still has to earn that starting job no matter what.
Deep sigh. Because, look, I get it. You don't want anyone walking in the building feeling smug, not putting the effort in, not feeling like they have to show up to those early training. Get it. However, you so deeply run the risk of just putting a bad taste in someone's mouth. You just paid that guy. Why did you pay him if you really truly mean that he's going to be this guy that's competing for a job? Does he want to compete with the guy that was on the bench last year and only played a handful of games? No, it's not good. And we saw that with Tua as well. It's a completely different situation because, given the injuries and the larger pool of playing time, like he had less to prove statistically than Malik Willis does. But I just think you just completely run the risk of just messing it all up before it has to be done. There are other guys, in the bit, like imagine putting a running back against De'Von Achane and being like, compete for your place on the roster. He's like, what was I doing holding up the team last year for you to bring in this guy next to me? Like it does just sometimes backfire. I think for some players, those second, third string players, it can absolutely light a fire under your butt. But when you're putting someone next to the starter and being like, this guy's going to come, and this is why and we'll get to like the drafting quarterback situation, but like I think that's a horrible idea as well.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I also agree in they have to say that because they can't hold the rest of the team to a standard and then not hold Malik Willis to that same standard.
Sure.
They have to say it, but at the same time, I also agree and I like that they're doing it for the simple reason because, like you just said, it lights a fire under the butt of whoever is under the impression that they may or may not win the starting job. So you have to get better. You have to be that number one person of that position group. Everybody expects it to be Malik Willis. We all fully expect that to happen. But because of the history of the Dolphins and their quarterback position, I am not against this at all. Like, we'll get into it. I am jumping ahead too.
But their trauma should not
I agree.
be someone else's problem.
But I'm saying this. Look what happened with Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. Daniel Jones came over, he played way better, and he took the team, and look what happened to the Colts. They were fantastic until he got hurt. Now, I'm just saying, I'm not saying a rookie is going to do better than Malik Willis, but why
are you paying him then?
You can't rule anything on the table. I get it. But yeah, at the same time, right, why are you paying him?
Look,
in theory, it's a wonderful idea. If all of these guys are great, but there are egos in the NFL. Yeah. People don't want to be like. Imagine bringing in. I don't know. It's like when Lamar was expected to sit behind Joe Flacco for a couple of years. Like, no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, we're gonna agree to disagree on this because I just like what they're doing. I like that they're saying that, but I agree.
Love the sentiment, but I don't think it always, pays.
Yeah, I fully expect Malik Willis to be the starting quarterback in week 1, and if he's not, I'm going to be very shocked. But that doesn't mean that they can't find a quarterback that will push Malik Willis to be better. And also, they already admitted that they told Malik Willis about the Jaylen Waddle trade, and I fully assume that they probably told him, look, we're still going to draft a quarterback. You're the guy until you're not the guy. Meaning, you're the guy until you do something foolish or you don't play up to the standard we believe that you play up to and you lose the starting job, which that can happen to any player. As we saw, Tua Tagovailoa was benched for that reason. He was not playing well. He did not play well all season. They benched him way too late, in my opinion, but anybody can be benched in the NFL if you're not doing your job. We know this. So
you should have standards.
Yeah.
But just be mindful about how you go about executing those standards.
I agree.
Or James, I look at it this way, right? Like maybe they're like, you got to prove you're the guy. You've only started 6 games in the NFL.
100%.
4 years, right? So like, yes, Billy, like it's kind of weird and kind of counterintuitive, right? We gave you that money, and the money shows, like on paper, the money shows that yes, you're the starting quarterback. But at the same time, it's like you also gotta prove that as well. We're gonna bring in these guys. You gotta prove that yes, you are worth this money that we gave you. Because if you're not, then oh well, so be it. We give Tua the extension 2 years later, sayonara, right?
Yeah.
So like these things happen in the NFL, right? So like I'm with you, James. Willis should be under center week 1, but at the same time, it's like nothing's like I said, just nothing's guaranteed in the NFL, right? You got to prove it. Yes, you might be going up against a rookie who they drafted in the 6th round. All right, then. Well, there's no problem. You should beat him, right?
Mm-hmm.
No problem at all.
I think the stick with me comes from the idea that it's going to be, and I know we're going to talk about it, Ty Simpson. Because are you really going to use your 1st round pick on that? But I'll let you get to that, and then
we can just jump right into it because we've said enough about Malik Willis on this pod. We know. So that being said, it has been revealed that the Dolphins have set up 2 pre-draft meetings, one with Ty Simpson, Alabama's Ty Simpson, and also with Miami's Carson Beck. Carson Beck is understood. He's a 3rd, potentially 4th round quarterback. A lot of people are going to be talking to Carson Beck. He's not the one that we've expressed concern about. The one that we've expressed concern about is Ty Simpson. 100% the Dolphins should not be drafting that guy at number 11, no matter what. They have so many different needs: wide receiver, offensive line, edge rusher, cornerback, every freaking position you can think of.
Everywhere can be strengthened.
Exactly. And quarterback.
Yeah,
quarterback, you don't really need it just yet. You need a quarterback. They're going to draft a quarterback no matter what. Like
not
you just brought up.
Round.
Yeah, no, like you brought up Buddy, 5th, 6th round. Sure, why the hell not? Of course, everybody does that. But the point being, Ty Simpson has been mocked in the 1st round and in the 2nd round. Now, I will say this. The Dolphins pick a number 43 overall in the 2nd round, which is the 11th pick in that round. If he falls to number 43, why the hell not? Ty Simpson is a raw talent. Ty Simpson had a really great 1 year. The drawback is that he only had the 1 year starting, so everyone's concerned about him. But everyone keeps talking about how he's NFL ready. He's better than Fernando Mendoza, whatever. We still don't know because a lot of people thought that Bo Nix was going to be the worst quarterback of that draft, and he's absolutely not. He's a good quarterback. So that being said, if Ty Simpson's there at number 43 overall, I would not be mad about them taking Ty Simpson. However, I think it still would be a mismanagement of picks to draft a quarterback that high when you have so many other needs. The caveat to that is the Dolphins have 4 third-round picks, right? 4. They have number 75, number 87, number 90, and number 94. Now, if Ty Simpson falls to the 3rd round, again, absolutely go and do that. That is not something that I don't think that they should ignore. Even Carson Beck, if you see Carson Beck there at number 94 overall, which is the 30th pick in that third round, your last of those three, the third round, and he's still there, absolutely go and take him. These quarterbacks are not being brought in to be the starter. We know this. Even regardless of it being Ty Simpson, I don't think wherever he goes, he's going to be a starter. I think he's going to sit. I think he potentially could be a starter. You give him the opportunity. If it's on a team that doesn't have a Malik Willis, he probably has a better shot. I don't think these guys are going to beat out Malik Willis, even with the 6 starts. So I don't see that happening. But I don't draft Ty Simpson in the first round. I even don't want to see the second round pick used on him.
That's where I land too. Like, I don't doubt Jon-Eric Sullivan. Like, he was brought in for this specific reason, this being his area. But, we said it when a team is as fractured as the Dolphins are, you're doing yourself just this massive disservice by not drafting by need. Like, and you've got a great position in the first, you've got a great position in the second. Like, use that for something that, if you did really just invest this money into Malik Willis and you really do believe that he can be that guy, then I just think, hold off until the third. Like you said, you've got those 3-4 picks in that round, so just wait, just hold off. And I understand, like, logistically why you do want to bring those guys in and you want to have those conversations, because should they be on the board, like, you want to know that you're bringing in someone who aligns with your values and your mission and all of that. So I'm not mad about the visits. It's more the like idea that like you're going to bring in this rookie and then be like, hey, come against this guy, and I'm really going to put seriousness on it. But I don't think that they mean it in terms of him. I can see them meaning it more around the other positions. But yeah, that's where my real like the irritation comes from, is like the idea that Ty Simpson's going to come in or Carson Beck's going to come in and they're really seriously going to be like drilling this competition. But hey, Malik may get in, but he may be lazy. I'm sure he won't be.
No,
I understand it. But I will say one more thing is that, winning organizations like the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, the Eagles, like, they're not doing this thing. And I think you want to match that. I don't think the Packers did either, like bringing this quarterback once a year, every year. Did they?
Well, they kind of screwed Aaron Rodgers over by bringing in Jordan Love, and we know this. So, like, that's why he left. But
yeah, it happens. But
he was older. He was
he's 40.
Yeah,
almost 40.
Yeah. So it was deep into his career, so it's more understandable than Malik Willis being 6 starts in the NFL, not really being in the NFL for 5 years or whatever. He's just not. You know what I mean?
No.
He in football age, he's still a rookie. You know what I'm saying? Like, not really, but you get what I'm saying. But yeah. And also,
so you're not wasting your picks, your high picks, on like bringing in some competition for your starter quarterback.
I also want to say, I know we're skirting over the number 30 overall pick that the Dolphins do have, but what we're saying is do not take Ty Simpson in the first round. Oh, yeah. Don't do that. I know we're skating over that. Everyone's going to be like, well, they have more than one first round pick. I know.
It's like there are way more needs that they have.
Yes, those two, number 11, number 30, unless
they're off limits, okay? They're
unless you're trading out of the first round and you're getting something worthwhile in it, then absolutely go.
Come back next year. Quarterbacks next year. There are plenty of them.
Dante Moore, Arch Manning, whoever the hell. Yeah, but again, yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'm looking at the list right now. 11, 30, 43, no.
Yeah.
75.
Think about it.
Like I said, Carson Beck somewhere in the 90 range would be perfect.
Maybe your last pick in the third round, right? With 94, or maybe the second to last at 90. Maybe.
I agree.
Obviously, Ty Simpson wouldn't be there, right? But you know what?
But we don't know.
He might should have fell down last year.
We don't know exactly. We don't know where he may end up, and all the predictions and all that, and all the he's this and that. Like it doesn't work out like that all the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like honestly, it's not even a knock on Beck or even Simpson, right? But just like the fact of getting a quarterback, right? Like that's just a big no-no for me, especially in the first 2 rounds. If you want to use it on your early third round, even then I would still be like, I don't know.
Even fourth or fifth round, going and getting Drew Aller, I would not mind that. I would be like, go for it. Absolutely. You need a quarterback anyway. Cause like, and I do feel bad because it's like, what does this do for Quinn Ewers? But it's like, I mean, this is just where the Dolphins are at organizationally.
They said they're going to do it.
They said they're going to do it. Yeah, right.
They said it.
They're sticking to their word, and I really appreciate that. That's what I've been saying. I really appreciate they're sticking to their word, even though their word is potentially saying that Malik Willis will not be the starting quarterback. Yeah, I'm just saying.
I was like, okay.
In hypotheticals, yeah. I think that the main thing is there's no problem having these guys compete, but
Mhm.
just don't waste those picks, especially when you have so many and they're in such good positions. Just don't.
I agree. I agree. Again, the assumption that everybody understands was that Malik Willis was paid, so he would be the starter because everybody thinks that, especially Jon-Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley, who worked with him for 2 years, they gave him glowing praise, as everybody else has. They're like, he's gonna be the guy. Even Matt LaFleur was like, yeah, he's going to be a good starter for the Dolphins. Like, these are guys that intimately know Malik Willis from their time in Green Bay. They would not have gone out and paid him if they did not believe that he could be a starter in the NFL, in which case I don't believe that he's not going to be the week one starter. But regardless, competition breeds everything in the NFL. You need those guys to come in, your younger counterparts, to push you to be better, because that's the only way you get better. As I say, iron sharpens iron. Say they do draft Ty Simpson in the second round. Say they do draft Carson Beck in the third round. Either one of them come out and they play really well in training camp or preseason, you'd better play better than them. And you better know that you're not playing better than them. Otherwise, Malik Willis was not the right guy to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
But give him a chance.
No, 100%. He's the guy that's the reason why he was brought in. He's the guy. We're not going to knock that. He should be the guy, but we'll see what happens. Finally, we've been talking. We got really impassioned about that. What are the other
A lot of
things?
feelings.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, I really get it. Like, the way that this, like, trust me, the quarterback position has been, haha. Since the early days of Dan Marino and him leaving.
We care here on the podcast, folks. We care.
We care.
We
We care here about the
do.
quarterback position. Last but not least, another great thing that I thought Jeff Hafley talked about at the owners' meetings is he's a defensive-minded coach. He was a defensive coordinator. He was also head coach at Boston College. He talked in length about that, how he learned to be a head coach. And again, I like what he was saying. He hasn't really brought up a lot of players, like player by player basis, except for Malik Willis. Interestingly, he brought up Chop Robinson. Chop Robinson was up for Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2024. He had 6 sacks. He played very well for being a rookie. He had a very down year in 2024. Only started 3 games, got 4 sacks. Just was not used properly by Anthony Weaver or whatever the case may be, whoever's call it was that Chop was not a starter. Matthew Judon took that starting position for most of the season. But Hafley has made an investment, saying he cannot wait to work with him. What he sees on tape is very promising. They're going to make sure that he is good, make sure that he gets better on his pass rush skills, which the Dolphins need some good pass rushers. David Ajabo and Josh Uche were brought on, but again, those guys are, we don't know. There's just a gaggle of low-cost signings the Dolphins made in free agency. Nobody knows what they're going to be. We can't predict the future. That being said, I just think it's really interesting, and I think it's cool that he's taking an active interest in Chop, and especially because you got rid of Jalen Phillips, you traded him at the trade deadline, he went to the Eagles, now he's with the Panthers, and then Bradley Chubb is now with the Buffalo Bills. Boo. But it is what it is. You need pass rushers. That's another need in the draft. But that being said, if you can unlock something that hasn't been unlocked yet in Chop Robinson, you're going to have a pretty good pass rusher on your hands.
Yeah, I love this. I love that Hafley's looking around at the talent that he has and identifying what's there and, showing guys that he has taken an interest in them. And those guys who probably want to have those bounce back years, those who want to go back to the caliber that they were at in previous seasons. And so it's really nice when the team has been in disarray in many areas that he's, identifying those potential candidates that can come out and, break out. And allow me to sing the praises of David Ajabo for a little minute. He, I think he just happened to be behind guys like Madubuike, like Kyle Van Noy, and just didn't ever really kind of fit into that and was mainly playing on special teams. And I noticed he did have some great plays, as a lot of people do if given the chance. But I think that he can make a difference. Him and Uche, they come from great defensive teams. With Chop there, I think that they could be a great trio. So, don't count them out.
No.
For what they have. And I think that it's nice to see Hafley actively taking an interest in those guys and noticing those things that maybe people aren't, especially as a defensive mind, that aren't necessarily on the surface, but he sees the potential. And I think that should be really encouraging for Dolphins fans and the Dolphin organization this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, you used your first round pick on him, right, back in
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah.
There's clearly like raw talent there. I mean, his technique has been an issue, especially when he was in college. That's the reason why he kind of fell in the draft. But I mean, clearly there's talent there, and he's only 23 years old. That's the main thing, right? I feel like there's a lot left in there, and then with this new regime coming in, right? Like it's kind of like a breath of fresh air. I think it'll be really good for Chop. I mean, he was clearly devastated when teams passed on him in the draft. We'll see if that fire is still there, right? We'll see what this new staff does for him.
He's got to compete. That's what he's got to do.
It's really like make or break. I feel like like he's entering his third year. Injuries have been quite an issue for him, but it's a new year, it's a new staff. Things could be looking up for him, and if not, then I mean, things happen in the NFL.
Yeah.
Sayonara, right? We'll see what happens, but this could be a really big year for him, and he could really make a mark for himself in 2026.
No, definitely. I mean that's it right there. Like you said, he's young, and yeah, he's had some injury issues and stuff, and maybe his confidence was not there because of the way he was utilized or not utilized, whatever the case may be. But yeah, I mean, Hafley wants to find the best of him, as he probably does with every single player. But being that Hafley's a defensive mind, he's gonna be like, okay, cool. Like, what do we got on defense? That's gonna be his, modus operandi here to bolster that side of the ball coming from a defensive side. So,
And he's calling the plays, right?
yeah, he will be calling the plays, and then Sean Duggan will be his right-hand man in prepping the defense, but Jeff Hafley will be the play caller on defense. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, Chop is still young. He was selected in the first round for obvious reasons. He was voted defensive rookie of the year. That does mean something, 6 sacks, but it just whatever happened between now and then, it's a brand new regime. It's going to be a brand new system for him to learn, and maybe they're going to put him in a better position to succeed in the 2026 season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's all situational, man. It's all situational, right? I mean, if you're in a good situation, then you're going to thrive, and if you're not, then we've seen a lot of great talent and be like, why didn't that player pan out? Why? I mean, it's all coaching. It's all, there's a lot of factors that play into it. So hopefully with this regime, things could really go well for Chop and, for the defense, which things kind of look bleak there, but who knows?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, after our tirade on Malik Willis and being the starter and whatnot, that's all we got. Thank you everybody for listening. That was probably our most excitable Dolphins podcast thus far, but I agree. I understand why. There's just a lot of keep Malik Willis the starter.
There's always going to be that way when a regime change comes in and switches things up. There's going to be feelings about it.
Absolutely. But yeah, this has been Dolphins Roundtable episode number 15. Thank you, Billy and Buddy, for joining me once again. We will be back next week with all Dolphins news, probably more draft stuff because that's what's going to be happening in the next few weeks. A whole lot of draft talent evaluations, and hopefully not talking about Ty Simpson being drafted in the first round.